just a toy, just a funny toy, makes you laugh when you're blue. When you're blue, I'll be at your call, do just what I'm told, I'll do anything for you.
How did you make this video?
Well, basically, I've been living in LA for like 5 years, and it's not exactly the most intellectual community. It's a little bit more image-based out here. And generally, there's not a lot of rooms where you admit to your educational pedigree, if you will. And so you generally refer to where you went to school by, you know, back east or, you know, New Jersey. And every now and then you just think, you know, I can be proud of where I went to school. I don't have to apologize for it. So I created sort of a fictional circumstance in which I got to sort of own up to what I had done in my life, even though it doesn't really translate to any fiscal success as of yet.
Is it true? I know you said it's kind of a fictional narrative of a real life scenario, but I mean, is it true that you haven't been able to really find a job and that you're making $14 an hour with these Ivy League degrees?
Yes, sadly. The only thing that's fictional is that I would go out with the guy from Wharton. Given that I have a creative field, I don't want to. I suppose it'd be a little bit different if I were really actively pursuing, you know, a salaried job. But given that I am a writer, an actress, and a comedian, I'm still working those hourly service industry jobs, if you will, and tutoring, and it's really hard. But the thing is, honestly, all my friends who graduated, a lot of them are having troubles too, and it's not by choice.
It turns out we got to give the tax cuts so the companies can have more money so they can hire people.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. It turns out that companies in the United States have cash surpluses at a 51-year record high. They have surpluses of $1.8 trillion that they're sitting on, okay? And they're not spending it for new investment, to hire new jobs. No. So what are they going to do? A 100-year high? I mean, that's it. It's already at a record, and they're not spending it. It's not because that they didn't have deep enough tax cuts to have enough cash to spend.
Take a look at corporate America. While millions of Americans have been looking for work, big businesses have been piling up the cash.
Companies like Apple, GE, Pfizer, and yep, even CBS have a combined total of more than $1.2 trillion. And that's not property values or income. That's cash or cash equivalents, money they could spend tomorrow.
Companies aren't spending. Their cash is just sitting there. So we wondered, what could all those companies do with $1.2 trillion? Well, they could pay 3 years of rent for every American who rents their home.
Or they could buy every home that went into foreclosure in 2007 and 2008.
They could fund the militaries of every NATO country combined for an entire year.
Or they could pay the bill every time a driver in this country fills up with gas for 3 years.
Well, I'm Tom Hartman in Washington, D.C., and here's what's coming up tonight on The Big Picture. Republicans have been working tirelessly for the last 3 years to destroy the American economy. So how long can they continue to get away with crashing our economy for political gain? Also, thanks to Citizens United, corporations have a new way to throw their influence around Congress without the help of K Street. So what could possibly put the millionaire lobbyists out of business? And in tonight's Daily Take, America's gone insane and the rest of the world is noticing. How can we kick the crazies out of office and restore our national sanity? You need to know this. Nearly 13 million Americans are out of work and looking for a job. Unfortunately, federal funding to retrain American workers and prepare them for the jobs of the 21st century is drying up. Funding for job training programs across the country is down 18%, from 2006 when George Bush was president, even though there are 6 million more unemployed Americans today. In fact, funding for job retraining for Americans is roughly half of what it used to be more than a decade ago. So now, even though the economy is slightly improving, businesses are having difficulty finding American workers who are trained and qualified to handle a new job. President Obama's budget proposal called for a massive increase in job retraining programs, increasing funding to nearly $3 billion a year. And studies show this is a good economic investment, as every dollar spent on retraining unemployed Americans for new jobs yields as much as $8 for the local community. However, multimillionaire Congressman Paul Ryan's Republican trickle-down austerity budget once again slashes funding for federal job retraining programs. Under their proposal, it's far more important to give $3 trillion in tax breaks to the super rich than to give working Americans new job skills. But here's the bigger picture. A lot of Republicans have come on this show over the last year or so, seeming to complain about unemployment being persistently high. They do the same thing on other TV and radio shows and in print. But here's what's going on. They're not really complaining. They're bragging about their accomplishments. Conservatives across the nation, in the states, in state governments, mostly red state governments, have laid off almost 500,000 workers since President Obama came into office. At the federal level, they've forced Obama to lay off more federal employees. Just last year alone, Republicans passed laws in the House, fortunately all blocked by Democrats in the Senate, that would have laid off another 7 million American workers. So government workers have been dropping like flies, 600,000 since Obama took office. But during the Reagan and both Bush administrations, millions of government workers were hired to boost the economy. Both administrations actually increased government employees. Still, in fact, here's the chart right here. This is private sector job growth. So still, despite all this Republican obstructionism, for the past 2 years, over 4 million new jobs have been created. As you can see from this chart, this private sector, this crashing under George Bush, coming back under President Obama. The stimulus happened right about here. So much of this tracks back to the stimulus, which in just a few months took us from losing 700,000 jobs a month under Bush to 24 straight months of job creation. Some of it also comes from Obama saving GM and Chrysler over Mitt Romney's loud objections, an op-ed in the New York Times titled Let Detroit Go Bankrupt. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell laid out clearly the Republican strategy on jobs.
Our top political priority over the next 2 years should be to deny President Obama a second term.
Republicans have been working to destroy jobs for 3 years, and fortunately, the Democrats in the Senate have blocked them. But in the states, they've succeeded in destroying over 500,000 jobs and cut another 100,000 at the federal level. So when you hear Republicans talk about high unemployment, remember, they're not complaining, they're bragging. So how long can Republicans get away with crashing the economy for political gain? Here to answer that is Neil Asbury, host of the Truth for America radio show and author of the book Conscientious Equity. Neil, welcome.
Thanks for having me back, Tom.
Thanks for joining us. Are you afraid that your party's plan